Left behind in the desert brush since the late Cold War, this F-102 Delta Dagger is completely structural, but nature is actively trying to swallow it whole. The paint is entirely calcified from 40 years of intense desert heat. Underneath the crust, the duralumin panels are structurally intact. The area rule Coke bottle fuselage configuration is unmistakable. Finding an intact supersonic Delta interceptor overrun by weeds is an absolute tragedy. The intake is a solid wall of brush. If moisture held inside this debris, the titanium compressor face might be completely ruined. The canopy seal has turned to dust. Smashed glass and sun checking mean internal cockpit components have been exposed to flash floods. The internal rocket launch rails are completely clogged with silt. These unique internal missile bays require a total teardown. Aluminum oxidation is spreading along the lower spars. We must neutralize this chemical decay before the airframe structural integrity collapses completely. Extraction took 2 crane crews and 3 flatbeds. Now inside the clinic, the aggressive physical teardown phase begins.
Clearing the primary obstruction. The chainsaw splits the old desert routes away from the flight control surface hinge lines.
The internal launch rail brackets are completely locked. The impact wrench shatters the rust seal down inside the blind thread holes.
The belly bay assembly is completely stripped out. Removing these panels exposes the main hydraulic actuator arrays for restoration,
separating the primary trailing edge elevons. These large delta flaps are responsible for pitch and roll control profiles. Stripping the internal air duct paths, the abrasive media completely vaporizes the baked carbon skin without gouging the duralumin sheets. The chemical solvent dissolves decades of weathered Air Force lacquer. The layers slide apart like soft, melting wax panels.
Planing the chemical residue down to the core metal lines. The skin panels underneath look incredibly fresh, entirely free of structural defects.
The pure aerodynamic baseline configuration is revealed. Stripped down to her naked skin, she looks like a high-speed silver arrow, welding the internal launcher frame joints. This reinforcement returns complete load-bearing rigidity back to the internal weapon bay racks, forming the compound nose curve by hand lines. The English wheel allows us to restore complex flight aerodynamic profiles safely, securing the intake skin patch with aircraft flush rivets. The automated hammering forces the duralumin molecules into a single block, sanding the patch line boundaries down to a dead level. The aluminum transitions smooth out until the seam is invisible to the touch. The epoxy primer uniform coat seals the duralumin away from humidity. This gray coat serves as our ultimate paint anchor,
block sanding the cured primer down to an absolute flat profile. Every single micro ripple is leveled out before the gray coat,
spraying the flawless Air Force gray camouflage scheme. The historical operational identity of the interceptor returns with each overlapping pass. The satin clear coat locks down the military scheme. It delivers an authentic, non-glare visual depth that preserves the sheet metal panels,
polishing the heavy exhaust ring back to original chrome shine. The cutting compound extracts decades of baked carbon scale cleanly. Dropping the primary instrument block home, every single mechanical indicator dial face has been completely cleaned and calibrated back to 0 miles.
Rigging the pneumatic launch line hardware. Safety wire locks down the hydraulic couplings to withstand high-altitude deployment pressures.
Tucking the new pressurized canopy seals home. This blocks out ambient moisture, keeping the avionics deck climate-sealed permanently.
Torquing down the main gear hubs. For the first time in 40 years, the interceptor is supporting its own weight.
The final squadron emblem seals the wingskin block. The transition from an overrun wreck is completely finalized.
From a forgotten prison of thorny brush to a flawless supersonic masterpiece, modern hands have fully reclaimed historical engineering.
The Delta Dagger stands fully awakened, a multi-million-dollar testament to early supersonic aviation engineering, completely restored by hand. Every manual control linkage operates with crisp factory tolerances. The pilot office looks completely showroom fresh. Woken from her long sleep behind the fence. Reclaimed from oblivion. Preserved forever for the open skies of history. Every secondary accessory drive gear must match original tolerances exactly. One bad gear layout destroys the complete generator line in flight.
The blades slip home with a single click. These interlocking routes absorb thousands of pounds of centrifugal loading safely.
The replacement fuel lines are completely hand-formed from stainless steel. They feed the massive burner rings without restricting fuel pressure. 400 foot-pounds locks the central turbine wheel. If this bolt breaks loose, the entire compressor group vaporizes. Safety wire ensures these fittings stay locked despite intense turbine vibration patterns. An unexpected twist prevents catastrophic line separation.
Slinging the J-57 jet core back home. After 40 years of dark neglect, this weapon system gets its heart back.
Sealing the cell walls blocks highly volatile fuel vapors from contacting cockpit electrical wire lines. Every seam is double-checked.
crimping hydraulic lines to withstand 3,000 pounds of operational force. A loose sleeve shears completely clear instantly, testing the primary wing fold cylinders. The heavy outer panels swing skyward symmetrically without a single hitch detected. Driving flat countersunk duralumin rivets locks the aerodynamic slats together. Each rivet head must seat flush under impact parameters. The rivet line matches standard factory blueprints perfectly. The seam disappears entirely under the satin skin prep. Safety wire locks down every flight steering assembly link. Vibration from high-speed runway tracking will shake loose generic nuts.
Stripping back 40 years of shorted electrical lines, this fresh copper link brings power back safely to cockpit instruments.
Soldering pin connection seals out humidity permanently. An unexpected twist occurs when original circuit boards register full electrical continuity, sliding the tailcap assembly into final position. The sleek Batwing jet silhouette is fully structurally integrated once more.
Packing the main flight control bearings with low-temperature grease ensures fluid mechanical stick movement vectors at extreme altitudes.
Cycling the flight control systems on line pressure. The giant trailing elevons respond instantly without a single loose link.
Bending the tail control retention pins flat. This tiny steel link locks the entire flight directional command string, masking off the tactical boundary lines on the spine. This layout path defines where the bold squadron accent trims land. Spraying the matte black nose anti-glare section. This prevents direct sunlight glints from blocking the pilot's forward visibility. Peeling off the tape lines blocks out the primary reward. Flawless definition emerges with zero edge bleed underneath. Hand-lettering the original tactical warning stencils brings museum accuracy. Generic mass-produced decal sheets cannot duplicate this crisp finish. A final polishing sweep over the clean gray panels. The surface sheen matches factory specs down to the letter. The hangar doors open up to the open air. The Delta Dagger steps out under the sun for her flight check. Locking down the ground chocks. Standard pre-flight safety protocols are verified before the master fuel delivery lines are cracked. Stepping inside the cockpit front office. The restored dial arrays look exceptional under direct natural canopy lighting. Fuel cell pumps are fully energized. The low-pressure lines prime the engine fuel manifolds without a single drop dropping. Cracking the mechanical throttle lever forward. An unexpected twist catches when original gate detents snap into perfect physical alignment. Flipping the master engine starter switch. The inertia plates spin up, carrying raw power to ignite the J-57 jet core. The main jet engine fires into life. 40 years of storage silence shattered by an incredible wall of sound.
Oil pressure lines lock solid in the safe green zone. The core parameters are fully holding to operational baseline values.
Releasing the flight line parking brakes. The Delta jet moves forward instantly under her own rolling inertia lines.
Taxiing onto the active strip line. The independent steering tracks perfectly, leading the Delta profile down the runway center.
Lined up on the primary strip, clear of ground constraints, this historic interceptor is finally ready to meet the sky.
Engaging full afterburner power. The combustion ring erupts, pushing 16,000 pounds of thrust straight into the runway deck.
Screaming past 140 knots. The Delta wings bite the air, lifting the nose gear off smoothly.
The main mounts break clear of the asphalt deck. The sky opens up instantly as flight operations begin.
Gear up and locked flush. The interceptor cleans up her profile, accelerating smoothly into a vertical climb.
Cruising at 10,000 feet. The visibility over the swept Delta leading edges is completely unobstructed and majestic.
Banking hard over the horizon line. Reclaiming this rare interceptor has successfully returned an aviation icon back to life.
Slicing through the clear mountain air currents. Every aerodynamic detail is fully functioning back to factory specifications. The control forces are incredibly solid and responsive. The ship flies straight and true on her initial trim lines.
A victory roll to celebrate her rescue. The open sky is where she belongs, never again to be forgotten.
Pulling the throttle levers back to cruise idle. Systems are cooling down normally, holding solid hydraulic line pressures. Fuel consumption figures track exactly with standard performance charts. The main engine fuel injection block holds flawless balance.
Cruising home into the sunset. A 40-year sleep under the barn straw. Completely rewritten by hand.
Dropping the landing gear struts for final approach. The heavy lock lines cycle, opening up the bay doors.
Crossing the threshold at 100 knots. Holding the nose high to perform a standard Delta flare landing.
Touchdown on the active strip. The main gear links absorb the weight cleanly, tracking true down the center.
The nose wheel drops to the asphalt, decelerating smoothly as the jet transitions back to the hangar apron line.
Cutting the engine electrical bus lines. The J-57 core spins down, winding into a quiet, well-earned rest. The compressor wheels are completely silent once more. The long road from a dark barn back to flight is done. Canopy unlocked and sliding back. Stepping down after a completely successful flight profile check. History is secure. A final wipe over the nose markings to clear flight water. The paint lines look completely factory fresh. Every instrument dial face is perfectly functional and calibrated back to historical 1957 Air Force flight specifications. From an abandoned heap of rotting brush to a pristine supersonic Delta interceptor, history completely redeemed. The completed Delta Dagger stands tall on the showroom floor. A multi-million-dollar crown jewel completely saved from ruin. The anti-glare boundary holds laser-sharp separation lines. A completely flawless paint execution down to the last rivet, rescuing an irreplaceable piece of Cold War interceptor history. Rebuilt by hand to inspire future generations. The gloves are off. The construction files are signed. This Delta fighter will never see abandonment again. We stripped away 40 years of wilderness decay. We returned a majestic Delta interceptor back to the light. The Delta wing design tracking shows absolute geometric symmetry. She sits exactly as she did leaving Convair assembly line. Her tail numbers are locked into registry rolls, re-establishing her position on the historical fleet files.
Stepping back to view the final masterpiece lines. Clean panels, running turbine, historical victory achieved.
Never give up on an abandoned classic. Beneath the grime rests an extraordinary piece of aviation engineering legacy. The 1957 Convair F-102 Delta Dagger, saved from the elements, completely restored by hand, completely reborn for history.
Pulled from the weeds, standing proud in the gold beam. The Dagger is back inside her true home. A multi-million-dollar interceptor saved from structural oblivion. Watch our next build to see history rise. Every fuel valve connector has been stripped down and recalibrated back to operational baseline limits cleanly. Reskinning the structural wing joints ensures absolute load rigidity under tactical flight profiles safely. Lubricating the guide rails avoids friction binding lines during canopy actuation events down the road. The classic lines of the Convair design are fully restored, reclaimed from an outdoor concrete platform. From a sun-baked blinded windscreen assembly back to immaculate optical transparency. No steps skipped. The paint finish shines perfectly under the showroom panels. An incredible museum-grade restoration verified. A multi-million-dollar supersonic fighter saved from decay. Rebuilt by hand, preserved forever for history.